be available. And that's that conscious relationship that Imago strives for, is to be tuned in.
Welcome to Imago Therapy Masters Series. I'm John Carlson. This is our guest, Pat Love. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's start with having you talk about what is Imago Therapy for you?
I'm glad you asked for me, because Imago really is a comprehensive approach to life, so to speak. The purpose is to help couples, help individuals create conscious relationships, or to actually be in relationship in a way that it's designed, in an optimum way. Imago is certainly a theory. It also is a wonderful set of techniques for couples and individuals to use to create the love they want. It's also a philosophy or a way of life or a way of being. And what I mean by that is that it's a way of being in relationship. And probably the simplest way to describe that is to be conscious about our relationships, or to be available and attuned in our relationships, to really experience what relationship has to offer us. And I think that's what couples and individuals come to therapy for. They're really, if you look at it, all issues are relationship issues. If you boil it down, it's I'm having difficulty in relationship with myself, with work, with people at work, with my partner, with finding a partner, with my children. So Imago really is about creating conscious relationships and getting what the relationship actually has to offer you.
I can't ever imagine being a master therapist or a master at this. It sounds like this is a lifelong venture.
Well, it really is. It's been over 20 years. When Harville Hendricks, Helen LaKelly Hunt, began forming the model of Imago, I was teaching at a university nearby, and I had a girlfriend who called and she said, you got to come and get in this supervision group because it's better than sliced bread. And at the time, what's interesting is I was teaching marriage and family therapy in an AMFT accredited program. So I knew every book on the subject of couples therapy and how to help couples. And what I found out was, and what I realized was, that there were many books on theory, how couples get into difficulty, but there were very few approaches to how to make it work. And what Harville and Helen did was really give us a model of how to use your partner in a very spiritual way, in a therapeutic way, and how to use your partner and work as a team to really create the love that you long for.
Now, when I've talked to other master therapists, they've really talked about how they applied it almost to themselves before they tried to apply it to others.
Right.
Do you have a similar story?
Well, I have a similar story, actually. It was twofold. One is, once I learned Imago, the biggest thing it did for me is it helped me to look at myself, took a look at my preconceived images that I brought into relationship. Imago means image.
Yeah.
We are we form early images of what relationships look like, what to expect from relationships, from our history. It's like your brain forms literally a neural pathway, and you begin to associate closeness, distance, touching, all the relational attributes. You begin to associate it with being safe or not safe.
So what were those preconceived ones that you had?
Yeah, well, I came into adulthood having never seen a healthy love relationship. I thought that, like, I had my images of love were that love doesn't last, getting your needs met. Some of my images were that if you're going to get your needs met, you have to do it yourself, that nothing gets done unless you do it yourself, that that touching is just like non-existent. That's not a part of a love relationship. And so I had I didn't know how to be a couple, to be honest with you. I grew up in a single parent family, saw my mother in charge. I had a stepfather, but he was really not really involved with the family. So I saw that men are distant, men are unavailable, men are weak, women are strong, women are powerful, and yet women don't get their needs met.
So we all
none of
have those things.
We all have preconceived ideas, these images that we bring into relationship, and oftentimes we're not aware of them because these are, again, are neural pathways that, for example, if for me to even ask for what I want would be uncomfortable. It wasn't in my frame of reference that somebody could actually meet my needs. I mean, that just wasn't in my imago, my image. And so what would happen is in the romantic love stage, of course, everybody, because your defenses are down, then you're very forthcoming, you give information, you receive information, your image, oh, I finally found the right person, and you go through this universal euphoric experience, and I could get through that. But once the defenses came back, once that high wore off, then I went back to what is my defended state. And what Imago teaches us is to recognize the defense, be conscious of my defenses, and also to consciously create a new image of relationship. I had to create a new image of relationship.
So your thinking about men wasn't that positive.
Right, and it wasn't even conscious, though. It was my expectations of men in relationship. What we know about the psyche is that a primary love relationship has a different role than a friend or a colleague or an acquaintance. You know, if your friend is late, it's no big deal. But if your partner's late, it's a big deal. Why is that? Because your partner is connected to your security. When you make a commitment, that partner becomes the reasonable stand-in, the reasonable facsimile, the stand-in for everyone who ever disappointed you or upset you or neglected you or was abusive to you. You start to project that image on them. And again, this isn't conscious. We're going to see this, by the way, in our couple, because we see how their old images get in the way of their relationship. And so Imago helps you become conscious of your behavior, conscious of your images, and conscious of the relationship that you want to create.
What kind of a process would you use with people? And do you have your own unique way of doing this kind of therapy?
Well, I do have my own unique way. However, Imago is a set of techniques. And by the way, all these techniques are a natural, it's an organization of natural healing processes. For example, the container that we're going to see. If you look at a healthy child, it's a technique. And it's a powerful technique. It's actually one of my favorite techniques from Imago. Because if you look at a healthy child, if the child gets upset, the child will express himself, he'll go on and on about it, he'll cry, he might perhaps get angry, make up rules, make demands, and then he'll accept comfort, and then he'll ask for what he wants so that to prevent this from the future, and then he'll be happy. And that's what the container is, by the way. It's just an organization of the natural healing processes.
So what is the process? It almost sounds like this is a manualized approach in a sense that...
It is, and yet it's unfortunately on the tape you're going to see it look mechanical. But when I'm sitting down, I have all these techniques in my mind, and if you were seeing me do a couple, and I tend to see couples in blocks of time. I believe it's the ideal. I see couples.
Big blocks, or?
I see couples in intensives. My most common length of time to work with a couple is about 10 hours in one fell swoop. I really believe that an hour a week is not optimum. In fact, it almost feels like hit and run driving to me. You know, if you have a couple who's been to a workshop, who knows the skills, it's great for follow-up. But for me, I really like being with a couple, taking them through the process. I'm really happy that we have this. We're going to have processing after the exercise that this couple's going to see. I actually think what we're going to talk about after we see the couple is going to be more therapeutic to them, probably as therapeutic or more than going through the exercise. There are no secrets in Imago therapy. You actually are teaching the couple to be one another's healers, to be one another's therapists. I mean, now, I know that sounds iconoclastic, and it is, but I have no illusion that I know more about this couple or individual than he or she knows.
So wait a minute. So my partner's going to...
Your partner is actually going to be...
She's the one who needs the help.
Yeah, and where is she? If she were here, what would she say about you?
Well, she might see it a little differently.
A little differently. And so this really teaches you so that, in fact, this was the biggest change I saw when I started doing Imago therapy. Before I did Imago therapy, it actually felt quite good because the couple was very dependent upon me. And I got to feel very powerful. And they would say things like, oh, you're so wonderful. You're such a great therapist. You know, oh, you saved our marriage. Once I started doing Imago therapy, I didn't get those accolades. They thought the partner was wonderful. They thought, they thought their relationship was wonderful. So that was a very different, the energy.
So if you have strong ego needs,
if you have
this
strong
might
ego
not
needs,
be...
but here's what would happen. They would go away. I wouldn't get, oh, you're wonderful, but they would send other couples to me.
I see.
That's how I knew I was doing a good job. And the energy is very different. Like if we're sitting here, I'm sitting here with a couple. In the old model, the energy would be going like this and like this. In the Imago therapy model, it's all about, I'm going to get you to talk to your partner. I'm going to get you to talk, because they're going to go home with each other. I want to give them tools. I want to give them an experience that gives them hope, that gives them a way to manage those old images that get in the way of getting the love they want.
I'm still a little slow. I'm back to, how is my partner going to be my therapist?
Well, actually, your partner actually will ask you to do the very thing you need to do to be a better person, which you resist doing, and she sees it because she's from a more objective point of view. Two people are attracted to each other that are different. I mean, nature has designed it that you'll be attracted to someone who's different than you. If you probably have to, you probably have to admit you and Laura are somewhat different, right?
Yeah.
Differences, opposites attract.
At least on horses.
Now, we believe in Imago therapy, that this actually has a divine order, that there is a spiritual, there's a reason why you're attracted to one another. We know scientifically that you will be chemically attracted, have this romantic attraction to someone whose DNA is different than yours. So it's not just a theory, there really is scientific evidence that shows that two people who have chemistry, if you look at their DNA, it will be different. There will be a difference in their DNA in terms of, and let me just say specifically, because people often think that similarities attract, and that is true too, common values, etc. But nature has designed it for you to meet, mate, and procreate and raise healthy offspring. So there's a part of your DNA called the human lymphocyte antigen, which is the HLA. That's the short, the acronym for it. The HLA makes you immune to a set number of diseases.
Right.
Okay? So if I mate with a person whose HLA is similar to mine, our offspring will be immune to a set number of diseases. But if I mate with someone whose HLA is dissimilar, then our offspring will be eminently healthy. So nature has designed it so that your brain finds a person whose HLA far more interesting. And there is this chemistry. In fact, the message is transmitted through pheromones, you can actually recognize it from a picture. You can see that there is a part of the brain that recognizes this HLA. So we know that people are going to be different. Well, the same way that my partner, because of our complementarity, actually has the key to my mental health. He will ask me to do the things that I don't want to do that make me a better person.
But in some ways, then we are together for our children. I mean, we've come together, actually, by your saying, to create offspring.
Right.
To make this healthy offspring,
Right.
we have to have people that are different than us.
Yes. And you just think of the wide range of behaviors and options you show your children. And you're making
This doesn't sound very good.
Well, say some more about that.
Well, I mean, the fact that you mate with somebody who's eminently different from you, and then...
And number one, there's energy there. Number two, it's options. Number three, it's actually a way for you to give up the behaviors, those defenses, those old images. Because what you're going to do is you're going to try to get your partner to fit that old image. And your partner's going to say, that's not who I am. And so you'll start to chip away at that old image, and you'll create a new image of yourself, ultimately, by the way. For example, in the couple, we're going to see in the couple, we're going to see we're going to see her and him. You start to see their images change about each other.
John and Martha.
Yes, John and Martha. You're going to see John start to describe why he gets upset with Martha. And Martha has the opportunity to really see how this taps into an old image that John had of himself and of women and of partners and getting his needs met. Once she sees his imago, how she fits into this, it changes her motivation. I mean, once you get it, wait a minute, all of this isn't about me. And she's going to be a better person. I mean, if nothing else, I say, you know, you feel better about yourself when you do the right thing. So imago is about becoming a better person, a better partner, lowering the defenses. What your partner asks you to do is about not your true self, but your defended self. That's, you know, people often say, well, you're just trying to change me. My answer to that is, you've already been changed. You know, it's not normal for a healthy child to withhold information, to be angry all the time, to expect every single need to be met all the time. A child has to be taught that. You know, children are empathetic by their nature. You know, if one baby cries in the nursery, they all cry. You know, they're altruistic. When a child feels that someone's been generous with them, their natural response is to give back. All of those behaviors are the natural self. And so consciousness really brings you back to that. And we believe in Imago that that's what relationships are about. Imago therapy is about becoming the best person you can be, becoming conscious, to be in relationship, and to be that person. Your primary love partner is the optimum individual to call you to wholeness, so to speak. And what I mean by that is to lower your defenses and be authentic.
Or get under your skin.
And get under your skin. That's their job. And the reason why in fact, that's what commitment means. Commitment means that I have the right to expect my partner to meet some of my needs at least some of the time. So I really have that right. That's generally what it means. So I have the right to ask him to change his behavior. And the illusion is I'm asking him to do something unnatural. No, it's not. It might feel unnatural.
At least uncomfortable.
I'm really inviting him back to his true self. You know, couples don't ask weird things of each other. You know, I thought when I first started working with this model, I thought, well, what are they going to ask? You know, sell your business, move to Spain, you know, and dye your hair green, you know. It never happens. They ask simple little things. And the couple you're going to see, out of all of his pain, what he asks is very, very simple.
Well, can you set this up for us, for our viewers, this interview we're going to see with John and Martha, and what should they be looking for?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yes. This is called the container exercise. The container exercise is designed, and again, all it is an organization of the natural healing process. This is the process that healthy kids use, that healthy adults use, and to manage their life and their anxiety.
So there's some education you're doing,
yes.
Some teaching.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the container is designed for reoccurring problems. It's designed for intense feelings, because when you overreact to an issue, you know it's about history. It's more about history than it is about the current situation. And what happens when you feel threatened, and you're going to see that John actually feels threatened on a regular basis. When you're threatened, literally your frontal cortex, the neocortex, is not in charge. When you feel threatened psychically, the old brain is in charge. So what happens is the limbic system floods the neocortex. We go to fight or flight. I mean, those are the two major categories. And so this container is designed, number one, to make history for these reoccurring issues that go on between couples all the time that keep them unsafe with each other.
Safety sounds like a big
Safety's
feature with this.
a big feature. And that's why exercises feel awkward, because it's an exercise. You don't normally talk like this. But if you could resolve the problem without the exercise, of course you wouldn't do it. But the structure creates the safety.
But from your point of view, then it keeps this physiological response from occurring, which makes it impossible for people to
hurt each
learn.
Yeah, to hurt each other and to break the connection. Because the key is how I can be in relationship with my partner without losing myself, just fusing with you, only capitulating, or having to control you.
But that's the process. What are you doing that they should watch? You know, if they were wanting to be an Imago therapist like you?
Right.
Talk about what you
Well,
do.
what I'm doing is I'm actually holding the structure. I am actually the stand-in while they're learning the structure. You know, this couple had never seen the container. And sometimes, by the way, in fact, the most common way I do the container is I just say to the couple, just like I said to them, I say, I'm going to ask you to trust me. I'm going to give you a process. I'm going to take you through a process that will help the water go under the bridge to make history so that you don't have to feel this reoccurring frustration.
So you're going to set this up.
I'm going to set it up. I'm going to structure it, and then I literally gave them the steps after I finished it, so that it wouldn't be a mystery to them.
And where does this occur in the process of imago therapy? Is this something you do early on?
You know,
do you do it at the end?
I usually don't do it early on, but it depends on the couple and their readiness. A couple I saw actually for 4 days in a row last week, saw them all day, every day for 4 days because they flew in from another country. I actually did it, you know, along about the afternoon of the first day because they were so reactive and in such pain.
So it may depend then when or even if you use this, depending on the couple you're with.
On the couple, their pain, the level of pain and frustration, how reactive they are. Also, how this couple had some therapy, so they were savvy, you know. So it wasn't like they were neophytes to the process. So, and also it just relieves pain. And I said to them, you may need to use this 3 or 4 times. What happens when you tell a story, and you tell it enough, it takes the energy out of it. But it helps the partner form a new image. Like Martha gets to see, wait a minute, when John's upset, that upsettedness is not just about me. It's about being a little boy and nobody meeting his needs. And you have compassion. It's like your heart melts. So, and again, the structure helped her to manage her anxiety. Because usually what happens when couples, when they have big ruptures in their relationship, usually is when you're both reactive at the same time. You're both tapping into an old pain, an old hurt, either from childhood or from the relationship. When you both get reactive, neither one's conscious. And so that's when you hurt each other. You do fight or flight instead of listening, making contact, being compassionate, being available, having a conversation.
I'm having some compassion with our viewers. You know, we're kind of teasing them about this process. Let's get out of the way and let's move on to this part of the program.
Looking forward to it.
Good.